Well, thank you everybody for joining our virtual Lunch and Learn. What we intend to do with this virtual Lunch and Learn as an offspring of the Canadian Congress event that happened in January, and this is our second year of doing it. Thousands of people were impacted. We had over 60 speakers from academia, from sport, from media, from government, from politics, from business, from so many places, communities, so many communities were represented. So there were Black, those who identify as Black, those who identify as white, those who identify as indigenous and South Asian and East Asian. We had all of them from Middle East. We have the data for that. And of course, different religion, different sexual orientation, different gender. It's an open event. The Canadian Congress is for everybody. The Canadian Congress is for Canadians, certainly. And then for sure, for anybody around the world that needs some form of help with regards to social justice. We believe that nothing makes the world more beautiful and wonderful than its diversity, than the differences in our creation, humanity, and perspective. It is strategic, therefore, to leverage diversity in every form to maximize the growth of people and profit. For far too long, my friends, organizations have focused on the profit side. For far too long, government have focused even on the profit side through taxation and policies that are inhumane, inequitable, and unjust. And now we've started the Canadian Congress to truly be the voice. We've started the Canadian Congress to be a voice that will linger for generations, advocating for love, for kindness, for unity, and for human rights and the civil liberties of Canadians. It was high time that we had a platform for people who believe in the cause for social justice, people who believe in diversity, inclusion, and equity, people who believe in cohesive culture, people who want to help to dismantle the colonial system and structure and colonial mindset mentality to come together. So this platform certainly is to empower people, organizations, institutions, communities, and arms of the government to foster inclusive diversity and workplace equity. Our vision is simple: unwavering unity among people, unquestionable respect for everyone. Doesn't matter who you believe in, who you love, how you pray, how you talk. It does not matter. You're human, you have life, and you deserve dignity. And that is what this platform is about: equitable celebration of our heritage and the sanctity of life, So, as we continue to forge ahead, some of the things we offer to support organizations and people are certainly advocacy, right? To advocate for social justice for people, ethnic, gender, as I said, doesn't matter. Anybody that is Canadian deserves to be, of course, anybody that is not Canadian as well around the world, but talking specifically for Canada now, this is the platform for it. So we've developed an end-to-end framework, which we have used in major organizations here in Canada to help them to build a cohesive culture. Sometimes when I sit down and I ask executives and social justice advocate and consultant, and I say, what is the end? Stephen Covey said it best in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He says, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. So the question is, what is the end in mind for you? What is the end in mind? Why are you doing this work? It is very important that you understand why you're doing this work. Very important. I tell you why I'm doing this work. Not even for me anymore. Not even for me anymore. This is for the generations yet unborn. This is for people who will eventually immigrate to this country. This is for those whose voice have been taken from them. This is for those, like I said, babies yet unborn. We're doing this work to advance a movement. It's not new. Social justice has been there forever, literally forever, right? So this is not new. Of course, we all know of Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi and Mr. Mandela and all that. But yes, we know of you too. We know of you too. You who attended the Canadian Congress, you who are listening to me right now, your name is going to go down in history as a voice that will linger for generations. So in addition to the social advocacy work, of course, we do strategy work for organizations to put a strategy in place that will enable them to end systemic racism in their workplaces. So, training, as people, oh, we need training, and that's great. If you need training, reach out to us. We have access to over 100 speakers. So any kind of speaker you need, any topic on diversity, we'll find you a speaker. So if you need training, it's Black Month, February coming up. You need Black Month, a speaker for Black History Month, then let us know. But social advocacy, holistic framework. The framework is holistic to provide end-to-end sustainable frame to eliminate systemic racism. Then the strategy I talked about, training and curriculum and research and development. But for everybody listening to me even now, and perhaps you'll be watching this after the fact, what we want to do is really support you in your journey, support you in your work, support you in your advocacy. So we have the diversity ambassador. If you're not part of it yet, you can put on the chat or whatever. I would love to be part of the ambassador group. We'll be meeting every Friday like this, but then the conversation continues 24/7 in a WhatsApp group, strictly used for social advocacy. So that's where if there's a breaking news, people slotted in there. Oh, have you heard this? A new discovery or revelation of indigenous bodies. Quickly, people are getting challenged. They do that. And sometimes we arrange for a social gathering. For social justice, we call it social gathering for social justice advocate, and we just come, everybody's virtually. You stay there if it's tea or drinking, if it's a glass of wine, whatever you're drinking, and we just relax. Mental health is very important to this work. My goodness, you mental health. This work, it's almost like we're at war. They hire you, but they don't give you the resources, like sending you to Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever one of those hostile places where there's hostility with terrorism and things like that, and you don't have the resources, the ammunition to support your existence. So that's what this is. We are finding out now statistics, you can Google this afterwards, statistics that last year, 2020, after George Floyd, they were hiring chief diversity officer, chief inclusion officer, diversity director, diversity manager. Now, this year, just late last year, statistics came out. Many of them are quitting. Many of them are resigning. And some of them have spoken to me personally. They've spoken to us, and they've said they've not been supported. So we want to support your mental health. We want you to be part of a community, the Canadian Congress community. If you're whatever province you are from, we want you to work with us to establish a movement in that province. So I'm excited about Quebec. I just feel that's an area that we want to really provide support to people who are already doing advocacy work. Of course, you've met my dear friend Henry and brother, who is representing the Canadian Congress in the Atlantic region. Henry can put a quick hello on the chat there. And if you are part of that community, the 4 provinces, he's taught me how to remember them. He said they all begin with N, except PEI. So Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and PEI. If you're part of those 4, then you want to connect with Henry. Henry is going to have a meeting at some point within the next 4 weeks. Henry will be having a meeting with people who come from those 4 provinces, so he can share his own vision and how he can support what you're doing in those provinces. Of course, we have Chrissy. So Chrissy as well, you can put a quick message there in the chat. Chrissy is in charge of Western Canada, so the 4 provinces under Western Canada. She, of course, is going to be having a Zoom meeting at some point, to meet the people from that region and see how they can synergize and how they can start to have presence in every province. Henry, by the way, is also a mental health consultant. So Henry is helping us, me included. We had some fires burning last night, not physical fire, but emotional fire. And Henry stepped in and mentored us and took us through the process. Even we were on the phone till about 10 p.m., 11 p.m., just trying to provide some form of support in some areas. So if you ever need that kind of support, you can, of course, also reach out to Henry. Other opportunities in addition to supporting this work is, like we said, if you're a part of a committee or community and you are not trained to do the work, that means they've set you up for failure. That's not right, but we won't let you fail. So put your provinces. I see some questions going there. Just put where your province, and then whoever is responsible for that province will connect with you right away on the chat. But we have a certification program that certifies. It's a 3 months. It's very intensive, very intensive certification program. In fact, let me share on areas that we go through in that certification program. So we look at you first. We help you to define your story, so that your story is consistent. We will all have a story, and then the confidence with which to deliver that story, right? And the context on how to deliver it. So number one, I'm going to go through 10 points here quickly. We won't expand a lot on it, but number one is authenticity. You want to write it down. Number one is authenticity. We are authentic, but if you allow me to add, I say ... to some degree. We are all authentic. Can you write it down? We are all authentic, ... to some degree. Why the ... The ... is we have to keep learning about ourselves. We have to keep learning about ourselves. It is very, 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 very important that we learn about ourselves. Very extremely important that we learn about ourselves, even as we are learning about social justice. What do you need to learn about yourself? What ticks you off? What makes you angry? Right? If you're not careful, you become the angry person, right? I've seen some social justice, they are very angry. I'm like, my goodness, right? So one organization hired us the other time to do a workshop, and they were really concerned. They were concerned because they said the former speaker they brought was so angry that it created more trouble in their organization. That is why this is very, very, very important. So this is no joke. We have to, that authenticity piece, we have to keep working on it and working at it to be authentic. So number one, to be a social justice advocate, of course, your passion matters and all that. But if you really want to do this work, you begin with yourself. Begin with yourself, right? So number two, then you have to begin with the authorities, right? So if you are working for an organization or working in an organization, you can't move the mountains without the leaders. The organization, one organization that just hired us right now, today, to do some Black history work for them, we told them that the CEO should kick it off. They're like, really? Yes. Black history workshop is not for employees. It's for everybody. And if you want to separate people, then it's for the executive. If you agree, say, yes, I do. Like Black history work, you bring up, you say, the employees already know what's going on. The employees are on Facebook, they are on LinkedIn, they are networking. So Black history, I would say, no, the executive should kick it off. And that should be your stand. That should be your stand. You should be able to say, no, okay, let's change the date. I'm busy. Okay, give me a date then. Like don't run if you are not comfortable influencing authority, you are not going to be as effective as you can be. If you agree, say I agree, right? So if you are not comfortable influencing authority, you are not going to be as effective as you can be. We cannot be more effective. So that is why we need to coach you and mentor you on how to be more confident. No. We need the executive. So number one, yourself, authenticity. Number two, authority. Number one, authenticity. Number two, authority. Number three, awareness. My goodness. Awareness. Can somebody just say awareness? I don't need to hear you. Say it out loud. Awareness. Very critical. I didn't say education. Education is part of awareness, right? So you cannot become a true ally until you take the time to learn more about the story of other people. You cannot. Impossible. In organizations, in business organizations, know that if they don't take the time to better understand their clients and needs, they may not get the sale. Even if they do, the sale will not be sustainable. If you are in a position of authority and don't take the time to know your people, your impact is limited, and so is the productivity of your staff. Socrates said it best when he said, know thyself. But I strongly believe that next to knowing yourself, which I talked about authenticity, is to take the time to know those around you. Everybody on this call should, if you have not done so already, do research on slavery. My goodness, do research or go to YouTube and put Why Black Lives Matter by Alex Ihama. I have a video there on YouTube.
Why Black Lives Matter by Alex? You need to be able to answer that question. When we say Black Lives Matter, others say, yeah, White Lives Matter, Green Lives Matter. Of course, they are exposing their ignorance, if you will. But you have to be able to speak intelligently to why Black Lives Matter. You have to be able to speak intelligently to the genocide that happened in this country just a few years ago. So to love your neighbor as yourself based on the common sense advice, you must make every effort to know and understand them. It may not be a requirement, knowing and understand people may not be a requirement to loving them, because you can actually love them and not like them. People don't know that. You can love them and not like them. You can like them and not love them, the two different words. But knowing them helps to understand them. Come on, somebody. You knowing them helps to understand them, especially if you think differently, look differently, pray differently, love differently, and whatever the differences are between you and them. We should become conscious of our ignorance and our biases. We should become conscious of our ignorance and our biases. So the common saying that people perish for lack of knowledge makes it more important to take the time to know. So I applaud you for coming today to know. We'll look forward that we'll see you again next week and bring more people in. Let's continue the movement. Join us to extend the movement into your municipality and your province. Let us be connected. The Canadian Congress on Inclusive Diversity and Workplace Equity is a platform for all. If you want to get involved in some of the project. We have projects that they pay. Yeah, I'm just telling you, we have projects from $60,000, $75,000, $150,000 project. So, and we are looking for people who have the skill set and the capability. So if you want to participate in project like that and you believe you can add value, put it on the chat right now. Say, I would love to be part of the project team. And then Chrissy, who runs that, will meet with you and see what your skill set are. And we'll look at the project that we can get so that you can participate in it. Money is very critical to advocacy. People don't know that. Money is very critical because nobody pays you to advocate. Advocacy is free will. The government is not going to say, oh, Alex, you're doing a great work advocating. Yes, $10,000. They will never do that. That's why they are called government. That's why they are called government. So we must strive. We must strive to understand the business side. There is a business side to advocacy. So that's another area we can talk about. But let me continue on that point. Number one, authenticity. Number two, authority. Number three, awareness. Number four, analytics. Can somebody type in the chat? Analytics, analytics, analytics. Critical. It was Peter Drucker who said, you cannot manage what you cannot measure. Come on, somebody. You cannot manage what you cannot measure. You cannot try to change what you don't know. You cannot try to change what you don't know. So if you are a diversity consultant right now, or you are an independent consultant, or some of you I know work in as a diversity employee, staff, or whatever, you don't have data. We just got off a call. Alex, we'd love you to speak in Black History Month. I said, how many of your percentage are people who identify as Black? They couldn't answer me. They couldn't answer me. You want me to come on? I will still do it. I'm not saying I won't. I'm just saying that shows that you haven't really done some groundwork. Data is important. Yes, my dear friend, Maria Draco. Data is important. Data is critical, right? Data is critical. So analytics, we create dashboard. If you want to see the dashboard, we have the way of measuring diversity index. We go into an organization, we gather quantitative and qualitative data. Then we show you how to analyze those data and come up with diversity index, come up with inclusion index, come up with communication index, come up with board of director index, come up with systemic racism index, discrimination index. And if you want your organization to fund it, that is what they need to see. That is what they need to see. When you want a board of director to fish out $100,000, they want to see numbers. So you must know numbers. You must know numbers, right? We shared some numbers of overrepresentation and underrepresentation and balanced representation. I have data for all that. So you must understand that. Say again, number one, authenticity. Number two, authority. Number three, awareness. Number four, analytics. And then number five, accountability. Write it down. I just gave you 5 A's, if you will. Right? I have them up to 10 or 20. Yeah, in fact, I have 21, but we got to save some for next week too. So accountability. Accountability. Who are you accountable to? Yes, you. Yes, no, you. They're like, who? Me? Yes. If you say who, me, then that's you, right? Who are you accountable to? So we formed the Canadian Congress. We're accountable to each other.
right? They call me out. I call them out. We call each other out. Who's calling you out? Who's helping you understanding when you make a mistake? Who's helping you to learn, things that are happening, right? So are you accountable to? So the Canadian Congress here, if you want to be part of it, like I said, there are different ways to be part of it. You can become part of it as an ambassador. You can become part of it as part of a project team, working on paid and unpaid project. We have both of them. You can become part of it by getting certified. Like if you say, oh, I'm a diversity consultant. Oh yeah, how did you certify? Yeah, I took some courses at Cornell University. My friend, no disrespect to Cornell University, they don't teach you how to do diversity work. They teach you about diversity, but not how to do the work. How do I know? I paid them too. I went through all the courses, all these courses I paid. In Centennial College, this college, that college. It's good they're doing it, no dissing. It's good they're doing it. It's good they're doing it. But if you want to learn how to do diversity work, in fact, let me tell you things you need to learn quickly on what the certification program is, right? So we teach you how to influence leadership, right? How to overcome subtle resistance. Can somebody type subtle resistance on the chat? Subtle. The resistance is subtle. They'll say, oh, Kaylin, you're doing such a fantastic work. That's quite amazing. But then they don't respond to your email. Right? But then, you say, I need some money to do Black history. They're like, oh, that wasn't in the budget. We can explore that next year. We've been exploring Black history for 500 years. Come on, bring out some money. Let's do Black history, right? So we teach you how to navigate that terrain, right? How to influence leadership, how to overcome a subtle resistance. Then we teach you how to create curriculum. Oh, Alex, we had speakers, great speakers. Really? Like, you must have a curriculum. What is the topic first before the other one? Oh yeah, we had unconscious bias. That's not the first topic you should be teaching them, because already there'll be resistance to that. Some will say, well, I'm white, but my wife is Black. I've heard people say that. I've heard people say, well, I spent 10 years in Jamaica, and that automatically what makes you Black, makes you understand our pain, right? I can live in a house of women all I want, mothers and sisters, and still not know what a woman is going through. In fact, I will never know what a woman is really going through. So it doesn't work like that. So we teach you how to create curriculums, right? Curriculum say for the next 3 years, here's what we're going to learn, because the truth of the matter is what you need to learn to move the mountain that you are faced with, it cannot happen in 1 year. Impossible. Even if you pay Ryerson University or the ex-university, Wilfrid Laurier should change their name too, because Wilfrid Laurier, that name, that's a racist person. Their history to prove it. So everything needs to change. The $5 we spend, they said even on the currency, the people that are there, they all had slaves, right? But the point here is, you need to be able to do that. And then we also teach you how to do data analytics. How do you gather numbers from people who don't want to share numbers? Oh, Alex, this is a government environment. Gathering numbers, we really don't know about it. And I tell them, go to the Canadian Charter of Rights, section 15B. I can quote it. Let me quote it for you. You can Google it. Section 15B. Say you have the right, you can gather data as long as it is used to help underrepresented people. So you gather, data is critical. Can somebody type on the chat? Data is critical. Data is critical. Data is critical. Go back to your workplaces, go back to your clients and say, give me the percentages of staff that identify as South Asian, staff that identify as indigenous, staff that identify. If you don't have that, we can help you. So that's part of the certification program. Policies. Can somebody say policies? Policy, not police. The police, they have their own problem, but I'm talking policy for now. Policies, right? So how do you review a policy? How? To ensure that a policy is equitable. What does that even mean? Some people can't explain that to you. Yeah, we need policies that are equitable. I say, okay, that's great. What does that mean to you? Well, policies that don't have systemic racism. I say, okay, what does that mean? Right? So you put them in a corner. There are ways you review policies. If any organization show you say, show me your diversity policy. If that policy is less than 5 pages, they don't have a policy. People are like, whoa, policy of 5 pages? Yes. Let me tell you why. Page 1. you define diversity, you define inclusion, you define equity, you define this. By the time you define those topics, that's page 1.5. True? If that's true, say true. If that's false, put on the chart, say false. Let me answer that to you, right? So the page 1.5 is already telling you, because you can't have a policy on a topic that people have different opinions about. Come on, somebody, right? If you say define diversity, go on the street right now. Even go in a police station, go in your office, define diversity, different opinion. So, but for a policy to be effective, there must be a coherent definition of these terminologies. Critical, right? So that's 1.5. And then you now move to why this is necessary. Then you now move to what this is meant to do. You now move to how is this meant to work. Then you now move to here are the consequences if these policies are not followed. Then you have 5 pages and 7 pages. We have a template. If your organization would love to review our template and customize it in a language that suits your environment, reach out to us. But we'll teach you how to do this. It's part of your certification program. Then we teach you how to shift a culture. A culture is not physical. A culture is not a phone. It's not a table. A culture is not even a person. Well, Alex, then what's a culture? Let me tell you what a culture is. A culture is how people think, what people think that they don't say. Write it down. What people think. You think, oh, somebody is hostile. Oh, and the hostile, that defines your culture, not necessarily. What defines your culture is what's in the head of the people in your organization. How do you get to that, what is in their head? Well, we'll teach you how to do that. We teach you how to switch policy. We gather quantitative and qualitative data, and we use it to renew or even develop new policies. Then we put a benchmarking in place and target that is going to eventually shift the culture. Shifting culture is like moving the mountain. The biggest thing to do is to shift a culture. The easiest thing to do is talk the way I'm talking now. To shift the culture, you will get into the head of people who don't want you to get into their head. You have to get in. You have to. We'll teach you how to get into their head. And then we teach you communication, inclusive communication. Write it down. Inclusive communication. I can look at your email right away and I can pick out things from it. There are many emails going around in workplaces right now that are offensive and they are discriminatory. You know that. If you do, say, yes, I do. Yes, they are, but the people doesn't mean they are bad. It just means they are the level of ignorance that they have, right? Hey guys, what about the person that don't identify as a guy? Hey guys, you know, yes, here's one that is really cool. One woman posted on her LinkedIn. Of course, I kept my opinion to myself. Sometimes you have to, right? She said, oh, I'm so glad I just got the role of the chairman of my organization. I'm looking at the woman. I went to her LinkedIn. She identifies as a woman. It was clear. She didn't identify as a man. But yet she got a job. I'm telling, if I don't know her, so I couldn't. But if I was for somebody I have in my network, I say your first job is to change the title of chairman. Chairman of who? You are not the chairman. You can say I'm a chair, right? I'm the chair of this place. So anyway, inclusive communication, and then another thing we teach you in the certification program is branding, technological footprint. I'll give you an example right now. Just one example, right? There's about many examples I can give you on this one. Go right now, not after this, you can go online, take your organization, say, for example, Canadian Congress on Inclusive Diversity and Workplace Equity. Put it on Google and click image, right? Click image. And then you see the pictures of the people that are there. And if they do marketing, you see their flyers, you see their stuff. And then right away, you can say, well, I looked at 100 images and 87% were Eurocentric. 87% represent white people. So your branding ratio automatically becomes what, right? So you do the math. 87%, that gives you a branding ratio. Then you can ask, okay, what needs to happen to ensure we increase on that branding ratio? So that in 2 years, when we Google your name again as a company, we see diversity. You see what I'm saying? That's just one of the things we'll teach you. And of course, we teach you suppliers diversity. My goodness, I have so much to share. I hope that answers a lot of those questions. How can I participate in the Congress? How can I do my job effectively? How can I be an inclusive leader? How can I move a culture? How can I? So this is the place next where I'm going to stop. We'll spend the next 10 minutes to maybe interact with one or two people or take some questions here. But next week, Friday again, we are back at it. And then, before that, if you are part of those in the Diversity Ambassador Program, then they'll grant you access to the WhatsApp group and we can all interact. And if you want access to some of the online program, we'll give it to you complimentary. It's paid, but for you, we love you so much. We'll give it to you complimentary. You go there, you sign up. So that is, my take on those who, how can I move the mountains? How can I change my culture? I hope this brief presentation has been helpful for you. I can't go into details for everything, but of course, you have my email, you have my whole team, and we're here to support you. So at this point, I'll stop the recording and we can take some questions and then call it a day.